In this video, I'd like to show you how to use a Punnett Square to solve genetic crosses. In this case, we're using the letter P to represent the gene, and the upper and lowercase letters to represent the dominant and recessive alleles. The main point I want to make is not to attempt a Punnett Square unless you understand what are the possible gametes that each parent plant can produce. So in this case, if a plant has the alleles dominant P and recessive P, and that plant undergoes meiosis, the possible gametes can be dominant P or recessive P. And we place those on one side of the Punnett Square. Because the other plant has the same genotype, its possible gametes are the same. And so we place one dominant and one recessive on the top of the Punnett Square. So to re-emphasize, we place the gametes from one parent on the side and the possible gametes from the other parent on the other side. So what we get when we fill in this square, what we do is we combine the labels from each side. So this square has two uppercase P's. This square gets an uppercase and a lowercase. This square gets an uppercase and a lowercase. Now here I've written the uppercase P before the lowercase one. That is purely my preference and sort of the standard. However, if you wrote it the other way, if you wrote little p, big P, genetically that means the same thing here. So the order doesn't necessarily matter. And then the last square gets little p and little p. So what this tells us, if we remember that the uppercase P is dominant, now we see that we have three squares that have at least one uppercase P. So this is where we get 3 with the dominant phenotype, and only one square has 2 recessive alleles. So we would get 1 out of 4, or 25% of offspring with the recessive phenotype. So there are a number of ways that we might write this. We sometimes will write this as a 3-to-1 ratio, or say that there are 75% or 3/4 dominant, or 25% and 1/4 recessive. So this will always be the expected outcome of a monohybrid cross. Remember that these are just all the possible combinations. For any individual plant, any individual offspring will only be one of these offspring.